I is hearing all the secret whisperings of the world. The BFG, directed by Steven Spielberg, stars Mark Rylance, Ruby Barnhill, Jamie Clement, Bill Harder, Penelope Wilson and Rebecca Hall. Now, the BFG, I'm not gonna lie, is one of my most anticipated movies of 2016, hands down. When I heard that Steven Spielberg was going to be adaptating the classic Roald Dahl novel and one of my favourite Roald Dahl books of all time, the BFG, which I was read to at bedtime a lot as a kid, so it's really nostalgic to me. I was hyped as hell. I could not wait for this movie. I desperately wanted to love this movie. I wanted it to be the all things perfect BFG movie we were all hoping for. And after seeing it, I have to say it's good, but sadly it's not great. Don't get me wrong, I didn't hate it. This is not a bad film by any means. There's a lot to love here. I mean, let's start with the positives, of course. Mark Rylance as the BFG, just incredible. He is nothing short of outstanding. I mean, he gets the BFG's personality right, he gets the BFG's voice right, and his language, how he talks, you know, they even get the classic Roald Dahl language in his lines.
You think because I'm a giant that I'm a man gobbling cannibal.
So yeah, Mark Rylance, if there's ever another Oscar for motion capture performance, give it to him. He deserves it. And yeah, the motion capture and the visual effects on the BFG are pretty darn impressive. I mean, they look just as realistic as prosthetics and makeup do. I mean, go to show how far CGI has truly come. And Ruby Barnhill, who plays Sophie in this movie, she was great. She really impressed me. She is one of the best child actresses in recent years. I mean, her relationship with Mark Rylance, Sophie and the BFG, of course, in the book, their friendship was the main focus, and it was a beautiful friendship. It was about a little girl helping a big giant overcome his problems and change the world, and Steven Spielberg did a great job of that, of not making it come off as creepy, but touching and heartwarming. Yeah, Ruby Barnhill, she is up there with Neil Sethi, who played Mowgli in The Jungle Book, of course, as one of the best child actors of the year. Not to mention the first half of this film is pretty good. It's mainly a tour through the BFG's world. We learn about giant country, the giants' language, their culture. We learn about, of course, the BFG's food, Snoscumber and Frobscottle. Well, the BFG eats Snoscumber as he's the only giant in giant country who, of course, refuses to eat humans, so he feasts on Snoscumber instead, as there's literally nothing else for him to eat. Of course, the Dream Country sequence was beautiful. It was breathtaking. The Dream Country sequence is one of those beautiful, visually stunning scenes since Avatar. I am not kidding. Props to Weta for the visual effects for this movie, and of course Penelope Wilson as the Queen. It was perfect casting. She was delightful as the Queen. Of the part where the BFG and Sophie go to Buckingham Palace in the second half of the film to convince the Queen to capture the man-eating giants and restore peace to both their worlds. And Rebecca Hall as Mary, while she didn't get many lines of dialogue and definitely doesn't get as much focus as the Queen, she was decent, yes. And they even made this movie, just like Swiss Army Man, made fart jokes. Fun, of course, in the book, the BFG drinks Frobscottle, in which the bubbles fizz below, causing you to fart. And yeah, I was a little disappointed that this Frobscottle was not as big a part of the story as it should have been, but the frobscottle scenes that we did get with the fart jokes were really entertaining and a lot of fun. Although I think the animated version did a much better job with it, with expressing how fun whiz popping is. It with that whiz popper song, that was awesome. And John Williams' score, of course, was enchanting. It was beautiful. Particularly loved the trailer music. But as much as I enjoyed the BFG, I can't deny it is a disappointment, not just as an adaptation of a classic Roald Dahl novel, but as a Steven Spielberg film in general. This is certainly not his best film, not even close. It's not a. This is, of course, a movie that was directed by the same director as E.T. and also from the same writer as E.T., Melissa Matheson, and E.T., Jaws, Jurassic Park, and Saving Private Ryan, all, and Indiana Jones, and of course, all outstanding films. And sadly, this movie is not a patch on any of them. And Melissa Matheson, she's a wonderful screenwriter. I love her work, particularly the script she wrote for E.T. That was a masterpiece. And this sadly isn't. It's a good script. It's decent. At least she tried. She did her best. But this is certainly not her best script, which is a real shame. The biggest issue I have with this film is that it's too kid-friendly. It's too much, way too light-hearted and too comedic and too much of a kid's film. Whereas the BFG as a story, it's not a kid's story. It's a family story. Roald Dahl never wrote children's stories. He wrote family stories. He included dark elements and an engaging story for kids and adults alike to get invested in and enjoy. He even put great life lessons in his stories too, which is what I loved. And Steven Spielberg kind of seemed to forget that. He was just like, oh, it's a children's book. I don't know what he was thinking, but he was like, oh, let's just make this a children's film. Let's not bother to include the darker elements. Let's not bother to scare the kids. Let's not have any complaining parents. Let's just make this a kids' film. Spielberg, kids can handle dark subjects. Kids are underestimated. In fact, I think kids are more engaged in stories with a balance of light and dark elements than they are just completely light-hearted stories. I thought that as a kid. I used to love movies as a kid like The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast and Bambi and Finding Nemo and timeless children's films, timeless family films. I mean, if those movies can do it, this movie has no excuse. I mean, particularly what was disappointing, particularly what underwhelmed me so much were the evil giants. The flesh lump eater, the blood bottler, bone cruncher, the man hugger, the child chewer, the meat ripper, gizzard gulper, butcher boy, the masher, and of course these giants go out every night to eat children. And of course they bully and resent the BFG for his refusal to eat humans, but in the book and the animated version they were intimidating as hell. And you really felt the stakes with them. But in this movie, there's little to nothing at stake. Because although the giants do go out and murder children in this movie, we never see it. We never get even one scene where we see the giants actually eating children. Whereas the book and the animated version didn't just tell us, it showed us as well. Spielberg, You are a masterful director. You are better than this. Show, don't tell. Not only that, but their character design was so poor. They put little to no effort into making these giants scary and intimidating as they could have been. I mean, the giants, they did not look like man-eating monsters. They looked like just a bunch of homeless people. just kind of like the giants from Jack the Giant Slayer. And some of these giants even look like a rip-off of... Some of them just look like the BFG. How lazy is that? I mean, look at how they looked in the animated version. Whoa! And now look at the giants in this version.
Ron was funny, you know, like...
Yeah, there is no comparison. Animated giants would even give the parents nightmares. And also, these giants, they were pretty one-dimensional bullies, really. That was all to them. And whereas in the book and the animated version, they were more than just one-dimensional villains. They were actually interesting as antagonists. You know, how they considered the BFG not a giant, and they considered him, well, a traitor and their ultimate downfall when he finally leads the human beings, well, the human beings is what giants call humans, to Giant Country and betrays them. Why not build on the BFG and the Flesh Lamvita's relationship? That would have been much more interesting, but no, Spielberg said, let's just have them as one-dimensional bullies, because who will care? But anyway, guys, and also, really, in the middle part, in the second act of the film particularly, not much happens. There's of course, the book has a lot of talking, I know, but God, the pacing of this film is not good. Boy, does it drag at times. I mean, yeah, there is so much filler, so much of the BFG and Sophie talking. We're like, can we actually get to the story? Can we actually get the stakes up a bit here? Can we please just get to capturing the giants already and saving the children? Well, anyway, guys, I'm sorry I keep comparing this movie every 5 seconds to Roald Dahl's book and the animated version, but I just can't help it. I wanted to love this film. I wanted it to be a masterpiece and the perfect BFG film, but when I walked out of that theatre, I couldn't help being a little underwhelmed, but enjoyed. This is not a bad film by any means. I liked it. It's a great fun family film. Please take your whole family to see it. You'll really like it. I would watch this over, of course, Ghostbusters any day. So yeah, overall, as an adaptation and as a movie in general, the 1989 animated version was so much better. So if you want to watch this movie, that's great, because you'll enjoy it. But if you want a perfect BFG film and a perfect film in general, watch the animated version. I give the BFG 3.5 stars out of 5. Good, but disappointing. But anyway, what did you guys think of the BFG? Whatever you think, comment below, let me know. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Please follow me on Twitter and on my Google+, and I'll see you next time.